It was at the beginning of lockdown, and I think a lot of filmmakers were trying to work out how they're going to make anything. And actually, Tessa had written the book, My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which seemed like the perfect read for lockdown. Everyone working out how to put themselves to sleep for a year, more or less. And I'd read her other books, I loved them, and we got an opportunity to meet on Zoom. And started discussing how Eileen might work as a film. Luke also was there, and we thought, well, we have time. That's the one thing we have now, nothing can be shot, so let's start developing this as a screenplay. And I think, what I found so exciting about the book and knew would make a good movie is that it was just so funny and so dark, and that's exactly the sort of thing I love.
I came to this as a fan of Will's, and I'd seen Lady Macbeth, and it just, I think like probably a lot of people, I just thought it was the freshest thing I'd seen in ages. And so it was just kind of like a standing request. If he has anything or any desire to meet with me or work together, even, my God, I'd just be so interested. And so when the script came in, I was inclined to say yes. And then I actually found the script really challenging the first time I read it. I found it really dark and really funny, but it's a tricky one. It's so smart. It's actually unusually smart. So it took me a few reads to feel like I had the beginnings of a handle on it. And then Will and I talked, and it became clearer. And then once Thomasin came on board, everything just opened up so beautifully. I can't wait for you guys to see Thomasin in this movie. It's just such a revelation.
So I read the book Eileen, which was like a Bible for the character, because it really goes so deeply into her internal world. And I pulled every kind of detail about Eileen I could find from that book, about the perception she has of herself and of the people in her life, her father, the kind of self-beliefs that she had, her upbringing, her schooling, her relationship with religion, anything I could find about her, and also from the script. And I compiled all of that into a document, which ended up being about 32 pages, I think. And then it took a while. And I sent that to a prison psychologist that I was able to interview while I was back home in New Zealand, because I was really curious about just what it was like to work inside of a prison, especially for a woman, because it was a prison that was for young men, and the majority of the people working at that prison were men, the security guards, the wardens, and everybody. So I thought it would be quite a vulnerable place for a young woman to work. So I was curious about her experience, and she also, the psychologist, gave me really great insight into Eileen, into what she might be struggling with. A lot of research into mental health, which is something I'm very interested in generally. So I just found it incredibly an amazing opportunity to develop my own understanding of my own mental health as well. I won't say there was a diagnosis, but I don't want to say what it was, because I think it's, it presents differently for everybody. So I don't want to, but Eileen is basically someone who has experienced a lot of trauma in her life and is incredibly lonely and feels very unloved and unlovable, and so resorts to other unhealthier ways of escaping that reality. Yeah.
The script is it's a very tricky script. You're walking a razor thin line with a piece like this to be able to get it right, I think, and take someone of Tessa's writing, Luke and Will, and then I'm not one that pushes when I go into these. If I have a daughter, or if I have a son, or if I have a girl, I don't push the relationship. I let it organically happen, and I think we did that. We let it come to us at the start, and then we would ride together. Remember that? We would ride every day together and talk the script, and just, you know, nothing specific, and then it just kind of started to really happen, and we stayed in it. We stayed in it with the accents together, and we would just talk. So I think it was just an organic process, you know, and we challenged. I mean, we challenged each other pretty hard in this thing.
I was pretty scared of you.
I'm a pussycat. I mean, you know,
There was nothing to be scared of.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of both of these women as well as Marin, who I've known for a while, and I'd seen both of her pieces. Well, no, I hadn't seen Soho yet. I was such a fan of JoJo, and I just wanted to see how deep we could take this. You know, I mean, Jimmy's tough, but there has to be. We talk so much about the humanity in Jim, and where does it lie if there is any? And she's incredible to act opposite of.
As soon as Luke and I and Will started talking about the movie, there was this just instant shared vision of what the movie was going to feel like, how it was going to move, and what the characters were each looking for. I mean, these aren't archetypes, they're very specific people, and the way that each relationship proves to be part of like a shifting landscape for Eileen and shows her a way out of this life. You just described it so perfectly. I felt completely honored, honestly, and like kind of relieved when everybody else got involved.
Obviously, it's amazing. It's amazing source material. It's an amazing novel with incredible characters. I love what Thomason just said about Eileen and what everybody said. It's just been such a beautiful experience. There's been so much love in this circle. We had common mind with Will, and I mean, there were fires, and we were escaping from Oregon fires and whiteouts of smoke, and then we came to our house.
You
No,
don't mean that
literally.
No,
poetically.
literally,
We were
and then
escaping
both of our
fire in
houses-
this group. No, like you were escaping an actual fire.
Yeah, it's like gas masks. It was like a whiteout in Oregon. People lost their whole towns. And then we got to California and our house almost burned. And so, you know, it was like 16-hour super intense work days. It was thrilling. Working with Otessa is amazing. There's so much pushback and like exchange and dialogue, and her facility with writing is, you know, unparalleled. It's so singular. So it was an honor, as she said, yeah.